Hello everyone, welcome to the episode 4 of Frankentone, where we are dialing tones from random plugins. I'm Yasin and I will be your guide to the random picker wheel. If you're ready, if you're subscribed, let's start by spinning this one. EQ. Probably the least expected as someone who's watching this. And we got Mark II C+. Okay, next one. I'm feeling like it's gonna be the amp. Okay. It is. Ooh, pre-effects. And it's gonna be nameless. Ooh. Misha. The next one. Okay. It's gonna be amp, right? At this point, it should be amp. Yeah. And the amp will be. I'm feeling like Gojira. Yeah. Oh no. Petrucci. Okay. Okay, now we have two chances, right? It's gonna be either post effects or cab. And it's gonna be the cab. Here, by the way, I want to add a couple more. Okay, I added them as GGD Kali, Contenders Part 1, Spring Tone, and Tone Mission. So I added new ones, so beware of that. Let's see what's gonna be. It's gonna be Soldano. The last thing is post effects, so I'm just gonna click and choose the post effects, which is gonna be delay and reverb, if nothing more. And it's gonna be Imperial MK2. So if you're ready, I think I'm gonna grab a guitar. I think I'm gonna go for drop D, at least for this one. So let's grab it. Right now, I have everything kind of default. I only clicked other amp in the Petrucci. If you don't count that, this is the sound that we have. Stupid stuff here and there, but you got the idea. What I'm gonna do right now, since it's literally midnight, I'm gonna grab the headphones first and we're gonna dial the tone. When I change it to headphones, I realize it's a little bit harsh, and I want to go something that is kind of in between. I want to go with the fourth amp. Not sure if it's going to be the best choice, but it's not as harsh as the third one. That's a, very, very high gain tone. And I think I'm going to keep the solo on and a little bit of bass. Definitely cut the treble and presence a little bit, because I want this to be a good tone that I can use for rhythm as well. When I demonstrate the tones in Frankentone, I keep the delay and reverb or anything in the post effects out first, and I add it later. And because of that, I want to have this both qualities. I don't have like literally nothing in mind at the moment. All I want is a tone. And right now, the most important thing for me to have a tone that I can use in the both realms. So I just close the post effects and so far it's actually great. Maybe I can drop the gain a little bit and try to control through these guys. We already have the precision drive on, which is helping a lot. And maybe I can keep the attack. I don't want to touch it too much. Dim the brightness a little bit, add a little bit of drive, because I think we need it from the pedal. And this is also cutting a bit of low end as well, so I'm going to use that to my advantage. I'm also want to introduce an octaver, because since this is drop D and I want to sound heavy, usually octaver gives me more opportunities and possibilities to sound heavier. And right now we are not in a context, so I don't have to think about bass. Usually when I'm dialing tones, I think about the context, try to make moves beforehand. But today I feel like kind of in the middle. I'm going to keep the compressor but I think it's not enough gain. I'm going to put it back. Really, I think it's because of its lead amp. Okay. And I am gonna push the gate down a little bit because we are not fully doing djents. Maybe I could do that in here. I don't know. But let's push this down as well so I don't affect it. I want only a little bit of compression. Definitely not fully in the mix. I want it to be supporting. It's not like I did with Reverb in the previous episodes. If I do that, it's gonna sound... what should I do? Let's keep it close to noon, at least for now. It's really good that it's supporting, but I really don't want to have it in a full mix. And I will also introduce the octaver, so I think it will be more than enough. So let's actually do that. I'm gonna add... actually, these settings are great. It's a little bit annoying. You know what? I'm just gonna dial it back a little bit and close the octaver because I don't want it in my lead tone. It's still up to debate, but I at least have, you know, octaver ready whenever I want to make it enable, because these tones are also open to automation. All these plugins, I closed everything else, so it's not as CPU as heavy as you would think. And overall, I think it makes sense. I'm just gonna check this one as well, just for a sec. Whoa, sorry. I think it's good for a lead. What do you think? If we also engage this one. I think it's okay. When you close it, it sounds like this. I think it's okay. I'm just gonna close it though, because I thought it's good for the lead. A little bit of fuzz. It's nice. I wasn't using any fuzz until when? Until my last song, and I added a bit of an lead, and it went really well. Since then, I just use it. I did something that is actually not kind of suggested, which is not changing the cap. Cap is the most important part here, but I felt like is already good. And I didn't change any mic positions. There's a chance that I would like to change it, but this is the default one. At least that's quite comforting for me, because if I want to go back, I just don't have to save anything right now. Let's take the post effects out. If I get closer, I think it's gonna be a problem. It's good for me. This is much better. It's much tighter. It's much heavier. It has more mids, and it's not muffled anymore, at least as much as it was. And let's move this a little bit as well. Great. You know what? I'm just gonna stop touching it. Even, you know, the mic levels and everything. It sounds great. I didn't even check if it's phasing or whatever. It's great right now. I'm gonna keep this. I think it was one of the fastest episodes ever. I just liked everything that happened, and most of the things are default. Let's add a little bit of bass, by the way. Maybe I could like that. No. The farthest tone for this song, but still. Let's close this and go to the EQ section. I'm not quite sure. I mean, I did the same thing. If you right click, it's window size. If you click here, it's again window size. I don't know. It's like trying to Google. That was weird. I'm gonna add a bit of 125 to 250. I'm probably gonna cut either 250 or 500. I know, I'm just unsure. I will touch 4 to 8K, and since this specific EQ does not have the thing I want, which is being able to have low and high pass, I'm not gonna do anything. I usually try to add that like 50 to 60 in high pass, and for low pass I'm just trying to define a nice range so it's not as harsh as I think, but this one does not have it. So let's start by adding this a little bit. For that I'm just gonna have a sustained whatever, and in order to check 8K 4K I need to do it like often. It's great. just a little bit off down and ooh, what the fuck was that? I'm not warmed up, by the way. I'm gonna push a little bit more on the 4K. Actually, let's start by cutting, but I think it's not gonna work at all. For some tones, I think it's a good idea. Much better. I think this is not the one, so let's push it up. I think it sounds great. I honestly don't need that I need to cut something. If I try to make, take more of the muddiness, I'm not quite sure if it's gonna respond well on the lead tone, but let's try. Maybe even these moves are too much when I change to the Tone King. I think it's much better to keep the EQ off like this. Because if I make it really, really harsh, like I do right now, it's not gonna sound well. I think it's not sounding well with this particular EQ because I dialed it by thinking the rhythm. That's actually one of the reasons that I have like different performances, I should say, for the rhythm and for the lead. And actually I was using the same EQ so far, but if you watch the previous episodes, it is always the same. I do the EQ depending on the rhythm guitar, and after that I add the reverb and delay. It's actually one of the reasons when I share these tones as a small performance on Instagram and TikTok, I totally leave the lead out, because when I put the lead, it's going to be extremely harsh. Also, considering the limiter I added, I'm not quite sure if it's going to work really, really well. I am gonna drop the Tone King again. I believe Tone King, no EQ, is actually a really, really nice sounding lead. But for the rhythm tone, I will try to explore more of this. Okay, I dialed too much. So let's start by pushing a little bit of 125. Disgusting. Not in a good way. When we have it, it's a disgusting in a good way. Let's try to cut 250 now. No, I think it loses body. I'm gonna put it back. Let's try 500. Absolutely disgusting. No way that I'm gonna add this. But if we cut a little bit. That was great. Honestly, that was great. I think I liked it. At this point, I think we have what we need. At least I have what I need. I'm not quite sure what you need, but I think it's a good base to stop. I'm not quite sure about the 500. Maybe I can put it back. Maybe I can just put a hair bit up again. I usually don't touch 1-2 kilohertz area. If you want to check, let's actually play again a couple chords, and after that just dial it down and up a little bit and see how it's affecting the tone. You can also do this experiment, by yourself, but I want you to have it with me. It's just losing too much. At this point, if I especially just go way down, it becomes like a V shape. And even though I didn't touch 500 and 200, because 1 kilohertz have so many information in it, this instrument has a very specific range that you can change. And I think especially 2 to 8 is really important to change the aggressiveness, and 122 500 with a nice drop in the 300 and 500, I should say. Not with this EQ, but I don't know, in the production with the FEP filter, you can do such thing. Of course, FEP filter is a company, right? So I should say like Pro Q4 or 3 or whatever you're using. So for 2 kilohertz, it's gonna sound like. It's actually great. Maybe I can add a little bit of it. It's great. So let's go back to the lead tone. I never thought this as a rule, but maybe I can add 2 Mesa Boogie Mark IIc Plus EQ, one for lead, one for rhythm. But of course, I didn't think about such thing. If you want, actually just add it as a comment. If you want that kind of change, like specific EQs, I can even just, create 2 different tracks, one for lead, one for rhythm, and we could actually get something pretty nice. And if you want a really, really long episode, we can even dial clean tones together, so it will be sick. Let's actually check this one if it is mono or... Oh wait, let's make this mono to stereo first because it's really important. And we didn't even touch the timing or anything at all. So I think 1/4 is a nice, at least for me, it's a nice thing. I like dual. Of course, the EQ fucked it up a little bit, sorry. I think this cut is good. I'm not quite sure. I'm not going to change the BPM, by the way. Is that the project is set. It's just that end. Maybe I can try adding a bit of chorus. I'm not quite sure. But it would be nice, you know, have some difference. There is one thing, by the way. I honestly think that I can add another EQ at this point because it's too harsh for me to actually dial this, even with everything. And gain is also a little bit too much, so. That was weird. Okay, let's put this push this a little bit with the reverb. Cut this because I don't want more harshness and brightness here. I like this move, even though I cannot play it well. I think we can just drop the feedback a little bit, but push the mix here. Okay, I'm kidding. Okay, I don't want copyright. Sorry, Connor. At this point, like, I'm feeling like even if I want to, I cannot change the tone that much for lead because it will require a repetition on either the amp sim part or, and I don't know, the EQ part. So if I would do it with that, I would definitely just cut back the 8K a little bit and possibly push a little bit on 125 because that's kind of a dead thing. Let's add it for your purpose, a rhythm purpose actually. A little bit harsh, right? For these episodes, I believe I need to learn a couple of nice licks so you can actually enjoy the playing a little bit, but my vocabulary is so messed up. Yeah, I am gonna show you the whole tone once again with the rhythm. You already heard the lead, but I can repeat it. So this is our rhythm tone. What I did, you were already in the process, so I don't have to extremely explain it like that. I can just actually close the EQ, because what I want to show you here is actually the dual octave, right? With and without. So rhythm with the octave sounds like this. That's great. And for the non-dual octave tone, that's our reference. Whoa. Yeah, I don't know why I played that last thing. But if we just stop for a second on rhythm and enable the reverb and delay, it's gonna, and chorus actually, it's gonna sound like this. Sorry for that. Yeah, so that's what you can expect from this one. You can download this, all the presets I made for every single plugin. I know you may not have it, it's totally cool, but if you join the Discord community and check these tones, you will also have the chance to show what you have, and it will be really nice to get your experience as well, because I know some people won't have the cap and maybe even amp sim, and when they change the tone with what they have, maybe you can only have the Archetype Misha Mansour X, okay, and a couple of, a bunch of free plugins. That's all good. You can show what you have. Okay, you use this compressor, position drive, and dual octave. What did you do next? You used the stock amp and cap, or maybe you used Misha's amp, but you found another cap sim or IR that you can load, and when you load it, it sounds pretty sick. Or maybe not, it's still good. Share that in the Discord channel and be a part of this. Download the tones, and I'm actually sharing these episodes a little bit earlier compared to the other fellas seeing this, which is actually you right now if you're not part of the Discord group. And what I'm trying to create is kind of a community that is helping in terms of tone and mixing and whatever you can think of. So yeah, that is my pitch to sell my Discord group. So I'm Yasin, this was Frankentone episode 4, and I hope you liked it. I hope you liked the tones, I hope you liked the process. It's quite experimental, and I know a couple moves that I am kind of happy with, and it usually results in a good tone. That's my opinion. I like my tones, I like using them in demos, and hopefully this Frankentone 4 tone will be a part of my rhythm chain in the future as well. Thank you so much for checking out, guys. I am putting a couple videos here. We also have the previous Frankentones if it's the first episode you're watching right now. And I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.